Hello, Ralph Losey. I just got through doing an EDRM event about what's going on with deepfake videos. It's a good event. I urge you to check it out. I'll provide a link here as soon as it's available. I had the honor to present with His Honor, Ralph Losey, and also with Professor Grossman, two distinguished panelists, and then there was me. Anyway, I wanted to follow up on that. I urge you to look at the recording on it. And like I say, there should be a link here, but there's a few things I didn't really get a chance to say. It was only a 1 hour presentation with four folks, including our dear Mary Mack as the moderator. Anyway, what's going on now with the rules, with the Evidence Rules Committee? So they are, in the words of their esteemed reporter, Professor Capra, considering proposals to create a structure for resolving disputes about allegations of whether or not a video is fake or not, or a voice. And they're considering just waiting and monitoring the case law. And it looks like that's what they're going to do, wait and moderate. They don't see a fire here. In fact, they call the three of us, Ralph, and Maura, as kind of, hotheads that are worried about nothing, Cassandras. Well, the thing about the Greek mythology of Cassandra is that she was always right. and so I don't mind being called Cassandras, but I do mind not being listened to and taken seriously, and I mind that our poor attorneys and judges across the country are going to be stuck with some very serious problems with deepfake videos and nobody knowing what's true and what's not without having some improvements in the rules. So you're just basically going to have to go with your inspiration on this, and that it's never a good thing because we're going to end up with unequal justice. And the reason the Rules Committee and Professor Capra are doing this is that they're saying that the change to generative AI is the same kind of change that the courts have dealt with before in forgery. Yeah, forgery. I mean, courts have been dealing with that for hundreds of years, and, it hasn't really changed that much. Trust me, this is not the same thing. Forgery is not the same thing as generative AI. It's much trickier, much harder to deal with. And they say, well, yeah, maybe there's some argument about how this is different or not, but they say, we can't make a rule too specific because things are changing too fast, and, we may have to, Professor Capra's words, may have to do it again in 3 years, and a rule that's too general may not be helpful. Well, I respectfully disagree with the esteemed professor. This is what I concentrate in. This is what Professor Grossman concentrates in. Every expert, Judge Grimm, Judge Alteclair, I mean, all the experts in the area of AI see this is a sea change. And it requires rules now. And if you have to do it again in 3 years, so what? Because the courts and the lawyers in the field, we need some guidance here. It's going to be too difficult to do and too inconsistent results. In the people that lie for a living, they're going to just ride on the liar's dividend, and they're going to be able to get away with murder in courts here, maybe literally even. And certainly in commercial cases, it's a serious problem. It's a serious problem in the small cases. You can't afford the big experts or the high, expensive attorneys that are required to really get at the truth when you're dealing with deep fake audios and deep fake videos. Now, the committee heard testimony in November 8th at the last meeting in New York City on this from NIST. And they summarized the NIST scientific presentation by saying, quote, the obvious risk of AI hallucinations or deepfakes and the need for risk management assessment frameworks. Well, that's not what they said. These are smart scientists. They didn't make hallucinations and deepfakes equivalent because they're not. They're not even close. So no, I'm afraid dear Professor Capra still doesn't get it. Um, they did have experts that tried, but it's like they don't want to take action. They just think this is like the change in forgery, and it's not. They heard testimony from Dr. Bruce Hedlund, former scientist for H5. Everybody in eDiscovery remembers H5, top quality, and Dr. Hedlund's papers on predictive coding. Now, he gave presentations to the Rules Committee in the Evidence Rules Committee in November 8th. Judge Grimm could not, Maura Grossman could not again. And he explained, and this is now I'm quoting Professor Capra, he explained the risks of false allegations of deepfake evidence with respect to authentic material. And he said they are just as great a threat to the legal system as deepfakes themselves. So everybody can come in and say, "Oh no, it's a deep fake. Look, I got 6 fingers there. It can't be real." And you need expert testimony. You need some guidance. What if parties can't afford experts? 95% of the cases they can't. And a lot of times there may be a battle of experts. Who's to believe? Should the jury be resolving that? I don't think so. This is tough stuff. It's educated judiciary should be doing this, subject to appellate review in case you get a biased judge, and it does happen. So, you know, Bruce Hedlund was in there giving testimony. He also testified to the committee, although they didn't seem to hear him again. He discussed the difficulty, and I'm quoting now from the reporter, Capra, the difficulty in detecting deep fake material with great accuracy, given the constant improvement in deep fakes to respond to detection. And Dr. Hedden described various methods for signaling the provenance of media proactively by placing an artifact in the media contemporaneously to demonstrate its authenticity. So, yeah, there are ways to do it, but they're not doing it yet. There's no requirement that they do it. Do you really think the X generative AI is going to do it? Maybe. I kind of doubt it. There's no law requires it. So widespread use of these artifacts, according to Dr. Hedden, will require collaboration between the developers, the software developers like ChatGPT, like X, like Google, and Facebook, and the few big players that are out there. You know, it requires cooperation between the developers and the creators to adopt these authenticity infrastructures. And that's what we need, authenticity infrastructures. Right now we got nada. We don't have that. We have some voluntary compliance by the good companies, and we have other companies out there that are not. The dark web people, totally irregulated, not regulated. And we need a government willing to crack down on fraud, willing to stop the liar's dividend when nobody believes the trust. Will that happen under a current administration? I hope so. Will it happen under future administrations? It better, because when nobody knows what's true anymore, that's when dictatorship flourishes. Now, we had a professor from Berkeley go on and try and justify taking inaction, doing nothing about deepfake video and deepfake audios by comparing it with the history of forgery and saying, yeah, and the ability of federal courts to account for forgery under existing standards. And she argues, the professor, that deepfakes presents comparable concerns. With respect, it does not. People need to understand better what's going on here with artificial intelligence and generative artificial intelligence. They need to understand the significant differences between old AI and new AI. Now, this is something that Professor Hedden noted, is that there is a distinction, and they have this in the committee notes, distinction between analytical AI, old AI, the kind that we know from predictive coding that separates things into piles and does statistical analysis, and generative AI, kind of stuff that actually creates content. that is able to ask and answer, and you can carry on conversations with. And he then suggested, Dr. Hedden, that there is a distinction that, for instance, things like DNA analysis relies upon the old AI, and this is routinely admitted into evidence. And the new type of generative AI, and so this is something new. And so this is specifically deepfakes, Dr. Hedden points out, is new to the courts. So the fact that we've dealt with even old AI issues before, much less handwriting forgery, is not that relevant. And there is a strong need for new rules. And there, I agree with Judge Grimm, Judge Alticlair, Professor Grossman, and really every expert I know that really concentrates on AI. They all agree, hey, the courts need some rules out here, because it's going to be very difficult just to use the new rules. Check out my prior articles cited on that, and the great work done by Professor Grossman and retired Judge Paul Grimm, two experts I trust, and they are trying hard, but they haven't really been heard yet by the committee. And I think that's a shame, because we lawyers in the field, we need this guidance. And I just don't think it's working out too well with the committee. So we're going to be stuck with having to do this on our own for a couple of years, maybe in 3 or 4 years, and it's going to be chaos. I predict, and I've been called a Cassandra, and I hope I'm wrong. Trust me, but I don't think I am. And so you better come up with your strategic plans now on how to deal with it. And I pity the judges. The big cases won't be as hard, because you'll have the top lawyers around to spell everything out. You'll have experts. But in the vast majority of cases, the judges are going to have to work this out themselves. And, I recommend you check out my old articles on this, where I mainly cite and rely upon Professor Grossman and retired Judge Grimm's deep analytics on this, and their suggestions for what to do under the old rules. It won't be easy, but if we don't preserve the truth, if the liar's dividend is, well, don't believe anything, just go with your gut, and allows people to take advantage of fake videos that have a 650% more powerful impact on people than regular evidence. I mean, the videos, they persuade people, whether they admit it or not. So videos is critical. We have to address this, and I urge you to get ready now and prepare for what I think is going to be a deluge of fake audio and fake video evidence. So good luck out there. We're trying.